Hello again, and welcome back. In our last chapter, we explored the fundamental concept of a payment system, what it is, how it works, and why it's so important. Today, we're going to take a journey through time to understand how payments evolved. From the barter systems of ancient societies to today's digital wallets, the history of payments is a fascinating story of innovation, adaptation, and transformation. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a deeper understanding of how payment methods evolved to meet the changing needs of society and the role of technology in shaping the way we exchange value. Let's begin with the very first form of payment, barter. The barter system, the beginning of payments. The barter system was humanity's first attempt at commerce. In a world without money, people traded goods and services directly. A farmer might exchange wheat for a fisherman's catch, or a potter might trade clay pots for fabric. Barter worked well in small, simple communities where people had similar needs. However, it had significant limitations. Double coincidence of wants. Both parties had to want what the other was offering at the same time. For example, a fisherman looking to trade fish for bread would need to find a baker who wanted fish. Lack of standardization. It was hard to determine the relative value of goods. How many fish were worth a loaf of bread? Difficulty in storing value. Many barter items, like food, were perishable and couldn't be stored for long. These limitations spurred the need for a more efficient system of exchange. The advent of commodity money. To overcome the challenges of barter, societies began using commodity money, items that had intrinsic value and were widely accepted as a medium of exchange. Examples include shells, used by Pacific Islanders and Native Americans. Salt, so valuable in ancient times that Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, giving rise to the word salary. Precious metals, gold, silver, and bronze were popular because they were durable, divisible, and universally valued. Commodity money solved many of barter's problems. It provided a standard measure of value, made trade easier, and allowed people to store wealth for future use. However, it still had drawbacks, such as the difficulty of transporting large quantities of heavy or bulky items. Coins, the first standardized currency. Around 600 BCE, the first coins were introduced in the ancient kingdom of Lydia, in what is now Turkey. These coins were made of a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver called electrum, and bore official markings to indicate their weight and value. Coins quickly spread across the ancient world because they offered several advantages. Standardization. Coins had consistent sizes, weights, and values, making transactions simpler. Portability. They were small and easy to carry. Durability. Unlike shells or salt, coins didn't perish or degrade over time. Over time, coins evolved to include intricate designs and inscriptions, becoming symbols of power and culture, as well as practical tools for trade. Paper money, lightweight and revolutionary. By the 7th century, China introduced a game-changing innovation, paper money. During the Tang Dynasty, merchants and traders used paper receipts as a substitute for heavy coins. These receipts eventually evolved into the first government-issued banknotes under the Song Dynasty. The use of paper money spread to Europe much later, with banks like the Bank of England issuing the first banknotes in the 17th century. Paper money had several advantages. It was lightweight and easy to transport. It facilitated larger transactions that would have required impractically large amounts of coins. It allowed governments to regulate and control the money supply. However, paper money also introduced new challenges, such as the risk of counterfeiting and inflation caused by overprinting. The rise of banking and checks. The development of banking systems in Renaissance Europe marked another milestone in the history of payments. Banks acted as intermediaries, storing people's wealth and issuing checks as a form of payment. Checks allowed people to make payments without carrying cash or coins. For example, a merchant could write a check instructing their bank to transfer money to another person's account. This was especially useful for long-distance trade, where carrying large amounts of physical currency was risky and cumbersome. The birth of electronic payments. The 20th century saw the birth of electronic payments, a revolution driven by technological advancements. Let's look at some key milestones. Credit cards. The first credit card, the Diners Club card, was introduced in 1950. It allowed users to pay for meals and entertainment on credit. In the 1960s, major players like Visa and MasterCard entered the scene, creating a global card network that made credit cards accessible to millions. Electronic fund transfers, EFTs. Introduced in the 1970s, EFTs allowed money to be transferred electronically between banks, eliminating the need for physical checks or cash. ATMs. The first automated teller machine, ATM, was installed in 1967 in London. ATMs revolutionized banking by allowing customers to withdraw cash and perform basic transactions anytime, anywhere. The digital revolution. The late 20th and early 21st centuries ushered in the digital revolution, fundamentally transforming how we make payments. Let's explore some of the key innovations. Online banking. Banks launched online platforms that allowed customers to transfer money, pay bills, and manage accounts from their computers. E-commerce payments. Companies like PayPal pioneered secure online payment systems, enabling the growth of e-commerce. Today, platforms like Amazon and Shopify rely on integrated payment gateways to process billions of transactions. Mobile payments. The rise of smartphones gave birth to mobile payment apps like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Venmo. These apps allow users to pay with a simple tap or swipe, often using biometric authentication for added security. Cryptocurrencies. In 2009, Bitcoin was introduced as the first decentralized digital currency. Cryptocurrencies offer a new way to make payments without relying on banks or governments, but they also face challenges like volatility and regulatory uncertainty. Contactless payments. Contactless payment methods, including NFC-enabled cards and QR codes, have made transactions faster and more convenient, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Reflecting on the evolution of payments. The evolution of payments reflects humanity's drive to solve problems and improve efficiency. Each innovation, from coins to credit cards to cryptocurrencies, was a response to the needs of its time. But with every advancement comes new challenges. How do we ensure security in a digital world? How do we make payments accessible to underserved populations? And what role will emerging technologies like AI and blockchain play in the future of payments? Conclusion and preview. To sum up, the history of payments is a story of continuous innovation. We've moved from bartering goods to using digital currencies in the span of thousands of years. Each step along the way has brought us closer to a world where payments are fast, secure, and seamless. In the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at the key players in the payments ecosystem: banks, card networks, payment processors, and more. You'll learn how these entities work together to create the payment systems we rely on every day. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next chapter.